Hey guys, what is up? Hope you're having a fantastic day so far, and I am here with a discussion video for Now We're Only Falling Apart, the newest episode of Steven Universe to kick off this Steven bomb. So just really quick, I will have spoilers in here, so if you have not seen the episode yet, click off this video, watch the episode, come back to it later. And also, this is just going to kind of be a really chill review discussion. I just have some notes here, but this isn't going to be scripted. I'm not really going to have any visuals or anything like that, so just, minimize this, just have it, open just to listen to it, because like I said, this is just going to be kind of a chill discussion review of this episode. But with that, let's get into it. So this episode picks up immediately after a single Pale Rose, and I think we could kind of tell that from all the promos that we had of this episode leading up to this point, which I like. I like that they just kind of jump right back into it, and it's with Pearl and Steven kind of trying to explain to Amethyst and Garnet everything that happened, and we actually get confirmation here that now that Steven knows, the entire backstory behind his mom being Pink Diamond and everything like that, that undid the command that Pink Diamond initially placed on Pearl to keep her fake shattering a secret. So now Pearl can talk about anything regarding Pink Diamond, Rose Quartz, her backstory, everything like that. So I'm sure we're going to be having more episodes revolving around that in the future. But we do get a little bit of backstory here, kind of like the initial push of what started Pink Diamond's thoughts into starting a rebellion and everything like that. But before we get to that part, we see that Amethyst is taking this a lot better than Garnet. Garnet is upset and unfuses, and again, we saw that from all of the promotional stuff for this episode. Now, one thing that I liked about this a lot is that Ruby was the rational one. Ruby was like the calm one, just like, listen, we need to just talk about this. Sapphire was the one that was most upset, and it really makes sense because Sapphire has future vision, and she brings that up. She's like, Ruby, you can't see what's going on in the future. You can't see, multiple possibilities, or not multiple possibilities, but just you can't see a possibility of the future. Whereas Sapphire could, so this entire time Sapphire trusted Rose so much that she never even considered looking into Rose, as being involved with this rebellion, being involved with Pink Diamond, her true identity. So Sapphire is the most hurt by this, and understandably so, given to her ability that she has to see into the future. And then we get a really rough line here from Sapphire saying our entire relationship is based on a lie, because, what I liked about this episode a lot is that it goes back to the answer. And so we see, we think back to this moment of Garnet meeting Rose Quartz for the first time and how big of a moment that was for both these characters. And looking back on that now after hearing this line of like our relationship is based on a lie, like it hurt, man. Like it hurt a lot. And we clearly see that Ruby's upset after Sapphire leaves after she uses the warp pad. And we find out that she is actually at Rose's fountain. So Steven and Pearl go try to explain everything to Sapphire. Ruby and Amethyst are left at Steven's house. And I'll get into this towards the end, but both Amethyst and Ruby are gone, but Ruby left a note, so I don't know if Ruby just wrote the note and took off, and then Amethyst saw it, and then she took off too, or if Amethyst just let this happen. I really hope that Amethyst tried to do something, and based on some leaked images and stuff that we've seen before, we can kind of guess what happens here. But anyway, Pearl and Steven eventually find Sapphire. She's at Rose's fountain, and so Sapphire is just kind of going over what a lot of the YouTubers have been talking about and theorists have been talking about. Rose used them for a war, and Sapphire just kind of feels like she was a pawn in Rose's game, in Pink Diamond's game, in all of this. And Sapphire even says that she tortured us. We're getting into some really deep stuff here. Sapphire is just not holding back with how she feels about Rose, how she feels so used in this moment. But with that, this offers the opportunity for Pearl to talk about her backstory with Pink Diamond, with Rose Quartz, how that whole entire thing started. And we actually get a little bit of information here that Pearl was given to Pink a few thousand years before she got Earth. And she even says, like, I tried to make her happy, but I couldn't. And that is such an interesting line, because I never really thought of the Pearl's job as making a diamond happy. Like, that never really occurred to me. Like, I think we always just assume that a Pearl was meant to kind of just be like an assistant, a servant, just kind of there to, you know, do whatever you needed. But, like, making a diamond happy, like that being the purpose of a Pearl for a diamond, never really occurred to me. But kind of like looking back, if you think back to like the zoo arc in the song, you know, What's the Use of Feeling Blue, Yellow Diamond does ask Blue Pearl to make Blue Diamond feel better. But I just thought that was really interesting, that was kind of like the intent and purpose of a Pearl, is to make diamonds happy. And so Pearl's talking about how the colonization process, like Pink is like really bored with this. Like, you can see her, she's just sitting there like, man, I didn't think this was gonna be this dull. And Pearl is trying everything to make Pink Diamond happy here. And we see that Pearl can project images. We've seen Pearl do this before, but she can like project images for Pink Diamond. She sees what's going on in the kindergartens, like the amethysts emerging out. And I actually really like this a lot, because I feel like this kind of foreshadows Rose Quartz, you know, Rose Quartz at the time, finding amethyst. I like that it kind of foreshadowed that. Like, that is the first place she saw on Earth, was that kindergarten, going to that kindergarten, and then, you know, eventually down the road she's gonna go back there again at some point to find amethyst, when, you know, eventually we get amethyst backstory, whenever that's gonna happen. But I really liked that a lot, that she saw the kindergarten, she, you know, she's like, we're making life out of nothing, and she found that so incredible. And so she wants to go and see Earth and like see this amazing thing happening, but she says that Yellow and Blue won't allow her, and it's actually Pearl who comes up with the idea of her shape-shifting into a quartz to kind of blend in. Now, I think this is very interesting, because I'm wondering if Pearl knew what was going to happen down the road, would she still have suggested this to Pink Diamond? You know, if she knew that the rebellion was going to happen, that the war, the shattering, corruption, all that stuff, would Pearl still have suggested it? I think that's a really interesting topic to tackle, and that'd be like an entire video in and of itself. If, you know, Pearl knew that far down the line, what would happen once she suggested this to Pink Diamond? You know, would she have still made that choice looking back? I think that's just a really interesting thing to think about, because I mean, this is what initially starts, you know, Pink's real involvement with Earth. And so Steven even brings up the point, this was just for Pink to get out and have fun. We kind of see that more childlike mentality here throughout this episode, of her like being all giddy, like looking at Earth and seeing, you know, everything that's on it. Just it was kind of cute in a way, I guess, even though I still think that Pink Diamond, Rose Quartz, whatever you want to call her, made some very terrible decisions. It was a bit humanizing to see her that way. So Pearl and Rose go around for the day, just looking at Earth, seeing different parts of it, and, you know, Rose Quartz even says, like, I want to see more than just this part of Earth. And you can kind of see, too, that, like, Pearl's starting to get feelings for Rose a little bit. Pink Diamond, you know, whatever. You know who I'm talking about. You see that she starts to kind of develop these feelings, and then after they go on their little adventure together, Pink realizes the consequences of the invasion. She brings back the line that she said before, we aren't creating life from nothing, we're taking it away. And it's kind of from that moment where we really see Rose want to defend, or I guess Pink Diamond at this point still, Pink want to defend Earth. And we finally get some clarification here about what Pink did or didn't do in regards to trying to save Earth, thank God, because that was one of the biggest questions that we had. Even Sapphire was just like, well, why didn't she just do this? And Pearl explains she tried to tell the Diamonds that she didn't want to do this anymore. She didn't want to colonize Earth, and they kind of just brushed it off like, no, you're going to finish what you started here. And then she's like, well, no, I want to preserve human life, and that's how the zoo was created. They took some humans from Earth, put them in a zoo, so that way it's like, okay, here you have the humans, but we're still going to colonize the Earth for our gem civilization. So I'm really glad that we finally got some confirmation on that. That kind of clears up some of the plot holes, I guess, that were left after A Single Pale Rose, and also gave us some confirmation on how the zoo was created, what the original intent and purpose of the zoo was. And then we get a pretty big reveal here, and I loved seeing this because I don't think there's been another episode really like this where we see a scene from another episode, but we see what was going on the other side. So it's like we saw the answer with, Ruby, Sapphire, and Garnet, but we never saw it really from Rose and Pearl's side, what they were doing. So I thought this scene, this moment was really cool, but we get the revelation that Garnet's fusion was really the turning point for Rose in what she wanted to do. Because before, Pearl explains all she wanted to do was just protect Earth, but once she saw Garnet's fusion, that's when she's like, no, I don't want to just protect Earth, I want to fight for all gems. And again, as I said before, we can really see, especially in this scene where it's the other side of the answer, what Rose and Pearl were doing, we can really see Pearl, having these feelings for Rose, she's blushing, she's, telling Rose to give her commands almost, because at this point, Rose has already staged her shattering. So at this point, Pearl is free. She doesn't have to listen to Rose as a diamond anymore, but there's something that she still holds on to because she feels like what she's doing is wrong, and she even says that that we shouldn't be doing this. This isn't what I was made to do. She's like, please tell me to stop. And then Rose is like, please don't ever stop. And then we get to see that the first fusion between Rose, Pink Diamond, whatever you want to call her, and Pearl is Rainbow Quartz. And it happens right before the scene from The Answer when they stumble upon Garnet on Earth. I just think that's so cool. And just thinking back to that scene, seeing it play out again, it's just so interesting to see that Pearl and Rose had this moment together, because they try to fuse before, and Pearl very comedically tries to sweep Rose off her feet, which I'll come back to again because there's a line regarding that later in the episode. But she tries to fuse, and neither of them know how to fuse, because fusion isn't something that's talked about on Homeworld. Fusion's only 4 rubies to merge together just to become a bigger ruby, kind of to just do muscle work. But it's this moment where Rose and Pearl have this closeness, this bond, is when they finally fuse, and we see that for the first time with Rainbow Quartz, and we didn't get to see it all the way, but it makes sense because neither one of them have experienced anything like this before. So as soon as it happens, they don't know what to do, so they just stop. But it's so cool that both their first initial fusion experience was with each other in that moment before meeting Garnet. And then, as I said before, it's revealed that Garnet was basically the reason behind the rebellion, why Rose wanted to fight for gems, because she thought fusion was such an amazing thing. And Sapphire kind of comes to this realization that Rose was following Garnet the entire time. It wasn't the other way around, where Garnet was following Rose, because Rose built up her rebellion based on the idea of what Garnet was, which was love. So it's really cool to see how all of this transpired, what motivated Rose to do certain things, to make certain choices and decisions. It was just really cool. I just really loved that scene, how it went back to the answer. I think that's such a cool moment in this series. But we kind of go back to Pearl, and Sapphire and Steven are talking to her, and they're like, wow, you really swept Rose off her feet, and Pearl's kind of being very dismissive about it. And then Sapphire says, like, no, this is the same way I felt with Ruby after coming to Earth. You know, and just that connection there that, you know, Sapphire is equating what Pearl and Rose's relationship was to her own relationship with Ruby, I think says a lot. I mean, this episode really hinted hard at Pearl developing feelings for Rose throughout this entire journey. But with Sapphire mentioning Ruby, she kind of remembers, like, oh yeah, that's right, I left her back at the house, I better go apologize and talk to her. But by the time they get to the house, they just see that there is a note left for Sapphire. Ruby is not there, and Amethyst isn't there either. And we have a new episode tomorrow, so we're going to see what happened, where they went, what's going on with Ruby and Amethyst, and what's going on there. But overall, I think this episode was super solid. Like I said, I just love seeing more of the backstory behind Pink Diamond and Pearl and what went on with them and kind of the initial events that got them started, you know, thinking about our rebellion and wanting to preserve life on Earth. And I loved that we went back to The Answer, because The Answer is one of my favorite episodes in the series. So to see kind of like the other side of that with Rose and Pearl, you know, in contrast to Ruby and Sapphire, I think is really awesome and amazing. Really loved this episode a lot. I'll definitely watch it again to kind of pick up on more of the smaller things, because I'm sure there's a lot of good theorizable content in here. But let me know what you guys think of Now We're Only Falling Apart. Let me know in the comments below, because I would love to hear it. But thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more Steven Universe related content. And until next time, guys, take care.